Hi, everybody. We are here talking about what's happening in the real estate market. That is what everybody asks me, what's happening in the Tenafly real estate market. Are we sort of leaning more towards a buyer's market, or are we still in a strong seller's market? So let's dive into the numbers that matter, whether you're looking to buy or sell or just trying to understand, where the market's going. Because you're a homeowner in the area, this is a video you should be watching, keeping in touch with the value of your biggest asset. So key takeaways at a glance. Let's start with whether we're in a seller's market or a buyer's market. Essentially, we are still in a seller's market. And what that means is we have too many buyers chasing too few houses. And when that happens, we will continue to see prices rising. There is some slightly slower velocity because homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. However, when they do sell, the buyers are overall, we're seeing buyers still paying aggressively, with sales prices averaging 102.67%, which means they're just selling above where their list price is. Now, I've been in this market for a very long time, and one of the interesting things for me is just watching how strategy of pricing has shifted. I think more sellers are getting comfortable with pricing their houses more competitively to get that multiple bid situation. And when you have a multiple bid situation, you'll typically see prices go above ask. It wasn't always like that for us in Tenafly, and I've been doing this for a long time. So the numbers that matter are absorption rate and sales performance, and we could see that essentially the absorption rate here is how long it would take us if we were able to sell all of the houses we had in a certain amount of months. And we're still sitting with months of supply being under 2 months. So under 2 months of supply means the absorption rate is still very quick. Under 2 months of supply is a very unhealthy market for us. We are going into the heart of our spring market. So what that means is we will be seeing more inventory come to the market, and we'll also be seeing more buyers come to the market. Why we still see this drive of more buyer demand, less seller opportunity is essentially that we are still seeing people sitting tight with the houses that they have. Of course, people locked in at very low rates, and they're not necessarily willing to give up that lower rate in order to get another house. We also have the challenge of where people are going. So people who are looking to sell, they're asking, well, where do I go if I sell my house? A couple of things are happening that are interesting. One is, as the mortgage rates get lower, the difference between where people's interest rates are and where they can be, if they bought again, when that spread is shrinking, more sellers will open up and go to sell their house, assuming they have someplace to go. The other thing that's happening in the market is there are new projects coming to market, like the one that my team is representing over at the Sylvan on 9W. These are offering 112 luxury townhouses, but there are multiple apartment buildings coming that are going to provide perhaps an opportunity for sellers to then say, you know what, I have a place to go, so I'm willing to now go ahead and sell my house. So I think that there is an opportunity for more inventory to begin to come to the market. Right now, the price trends are really great if you're a seller and really challenging if you're a buyer in Tenafly. So the average sold price is $1.89 million. The median is $1.55. But what is really telling to us is where that average new list price is, which is $2.12. So if the list price of the homes that are coming to market are any indication of whether we're going to continue to see prices rise, then we can see by that we are probably going to continue to see prices rise. And if you're following the Tenafly market and looking at what's on the market, you know that there are a lot of expensive houses on the market, and those houses, I think I have one on the market that's 6.8 million. There's a 7.8 million. There's a 7.3 something million. The point is that those houses also will go on the market because they're new constructions. They go on the market and they stay on the market a bit longer because they're on the market while they're being built. And that actually does affect our days on the market, which you can see from the previous slide is a little longer than it was before. So there is a mild slowdown, but it doesn't necessarily mean a soft market. So what I don't want you guys to do as buyers or as sellers who are looking to buy in Tenafly, because we have a lot of buyers and sellers in the same market, is misinterpret when a house is sitting, when the market days on the market are a little bit longer, that means that every house that comes up is gonna take a little bit longer to sell, because that's not necessarily exactly what's happening. We are seeing more withdrawn listings, and that essentially means that when a seller goes to market and they don't get what they want, they're gonna take their house off the market. So the story of the market is really precision over assumption. So it's not a market where anything sells. And I get that question all the time, and I think it's important to address when I talk to my sellers and we talk about pricing, and the question is, well, in a market where there's no inventory, I don't have to do the market prep. I don't have to prepare for inspection issues. I don't have to do any of that because there's no inventory. So my house is going to sell for the best number possible because there's no inventory. That is not actually the case, and that's a huge, huge mistake as a seller you don't want to make. Just because there's not a lot of product doesn't mean your house is going to sell for any number, and doesn't mean that you shouldn't make sure that your house is prepped properly, and that's what we spend a ton of time doing, to make sure that you get the right amount of money, because the buyers are savvy. They've been in this a long time, and they know very quickly if your house is right priced and right prepped. So the short story here is supply and demand, and the inventory story. That is what's going to continue to drive our market, with new listings remaining flat. They actually decreased slightly from 66 to 65, and sold homes ticked upward. We're seeing not enough new listings and more buyer demand. And of course, as rates get lower, which they did, we're in the 6s, and some people are getting in the 5s. We are going to see more buyers jump off the sidelines and into the market, which is going to push the prices. And again, we're starting in March, April, May, June. These are like the busiest time of year. So my suggestion is Tenafly will remain the right lifestyle and demographic. We command a premium number consistently. We definitely have more people coming from New York City. We are consistently like in our 5th year of having not enough inventory to meet demand. So it's a great time to sell. And if you're a buyer and selling, I said this before, price the market you have, invest in presentation, make sure you have a strategy. I say this to my sellers all the time. What the market will pay and the strategy to get you the best price are sort of two separate things. Both things should be discussed. And for buyers, your leverage is not in waiting, because if there's a well-presented, correctly priced home, it's going to fly and it's going to sell above its value. So what you should be looking for is a house that maybe is sitting and not selling, listings that came in overpriced, and houses that need work. And that's what you should be looking. If you're a ready, willing, and able buyer, then you also should be educated on the market. Educated, because then you'll know what that right price looks like, what that right house looks like, and won't sit on the sidelines thinking that you have time when you don't really have time. So here's the market at a glance, dashboard summary. This is your monthly market update. This is Tenafly. I'm Stacy. I help people like you all the time make decisions on what you should do, buy, sell, fix up your house, don't fix up your house. I'm happy to come in and help you as well. My information is below, and hope you have a great month. And I'll see you again next month. Bye-bye.